that time where I was getting sick more often. I was tired all the time. I was just in constant like go mode where it was not taking care of myself, not breathing, I was exercising and taking time for myself, but I wasn't really taking time for myself to relax or to like try to figure out how to lower my stress level of life.
You've been walking down a winding road, carrying a weight, feeling alone. But deep within there's a spark that awaits for the courage to open up the gates. Don't let doubt keep you in the dark. Take a step forward, ignite that spark. Be the best version of yourself, stand tall, let go, break out of that shell. The world's just waiting for you to shine. Release the strength you hold inside.
I told Callie, I said, I would be that person who would get a good, like I would benefit from having a walk.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, you really would, Mom, because she knows I cook all this kind of, Asian stuff. And I was like, but I have no cabinet space to put it in. She's like, yeah, you're right. You're right.
Do you ever age? You talk about me aging, but looking at you, and I transparency, Sandy has done modeling for me, and, years ago and everything like that, and
I don't know if I
can put...
I did modeling.
Well, it actually was, with commercials and stuff like that, and they still want you. And you haven't changed.
You're so kind.
And I'm like, okay. they say black don't crack, but she's not black. And it still ain't cracking.
That I know of.
She's just crack-a-lacking.
No, like really and truly, when I was doing some commercials and things like that for you, video commercials, I was 20 pounds heavier.
And I find that so hard to believe.
But I was 20 pounds heavier working out all the time. I was working out 5, 6, sometimes 6 days a week. And I was 20 pounds heavier. And it wasn't like I wasn't muscled up. I was not like, gym heavy.
Right.
I was cortisol level heavy. Okay. I was stress heavy. I was going to the gym and making the inflammation that was simmering explode, I think. So I changed.
And you were eating clean. I remember you eating clean.
Yeah. I mean, if I was eating at all.
Right.
I mean, we were doing 2 jobs and single parenting, is what I was faced with. But my cortisol levels, like having your cortisol levels being like elevated, oh my gosh, makes
Explain
the
that to
biggest
people
difference.
that don't know.
Yes. So cortisol levels are kind of in charge of your fight or flight. So when you're in fight or flight, everything shifts. So let's see. I've got some science here. So let's see. Fight or flight. Okay, so like what happens when you're in a state of constant fight or flight? So stress floods the body with cortisol. And we've all heard about cortisol. Cortisol is just a stress hormone that your body secretes whenever your stress levels start to elevate. So that involves your heart, that involves your nervous system. And when your nervous system is out of balance, then it makes your adrenal glands work harder. When your adrenal glands work harder, they get fatigued faster. So when you get fatigued faster in your adrenal glands, your immune system drops. So all of these things that are just a stress response were kind of happening to me at that time, where I was getting sick more often. I was tired all the time. I was just in constant like go mode where it was not taking care of myself, not breathing, I was exercising and taking time for myself, but I wasn't really taking time for myself to relax or to like try to figure out how to lower my stress level of life. And I'm really excited to be on this side of things because, my kids are old enough now. But when you're in that state of a single parenting, that was my experience, was single parenting 2 kids. And when I say that, they didn't go to their dads on the weekend. They were with me. So I just had all kind of chronic inflammation that was seizing my body and my nervous system. So even when I would lay down in bed at night, having that cycle go over and over in my head of, did I cover my bases? Did I call that person back? Did I pay that bill? Did I do? And I'm not the only one who does that. I know I'm not. And so when you do that, that's when your system fails. And it's what we're doing to our system. So you can reset these things by learning how to breathe. And you can breathe in for 6 seconds and breathe out for 9 seconds. And you do that 4 times. And that will help calm your nervous system. So when your nervous system, and this is, a lot of people will say that what I talk about is kind of woo-woo maybe because it's like the energy and these kind of things in a room. But like, think about it. When you come into a room where, that, just say you're at a funeral, how do you feel? Like, you may not know this person, but you feel the energy in the room. It's somber and it's respectful. And, people are there to pay homage to somebody that, they care about or somebody they know cares about them. But like, energy is a big thing and it affects your immune system. It affects your nervous system, and our systems of our body are what runs the machine. So when all of that gets disrupted by stress, I was holding on to so much weight physically, my body couldn't get rid of it. So my lymphatic system was out of control. Everything was just out of control. So when I was, in that state of stress and constant fight or flight, I just couldn't regulate myself. And I didn't learn that until probably the last year or so of my life. And within the last year or so of my life, I didn't work hard to lose weight. I worked hard to put my mental health first. And it made the biggest difference I had to step away from the gym like that. Not saying the gym's not good for you, but like, we have more gyms in this country than any other country, but we have the biggest obesity problem too. So something's kind of going on if we have access to fitness and it's $10 a month and we go and we do the treadmill or we do the things and we're still not feeling well. It's got to be up here that our system is not regulated.
Let me ask you this. Could diet have an effect on that? Now, in your case, obviously you're eating clean, but I know a lot of people, sugar is a big factor with the obesity and everything. So could that be a effect when it comes to just the general population?
Well, I'll tell you, I love sugar.
Yeah.
I can't say no to a sweet. And
you sound like Jennifer Lopez. That's what she said. Because she said that she did a 10-day challenge of not having no sugar, no carbs, no anything. And she said that it was really hard. As a matter of fact, I'm going to play the clip real quick.
And I have to play a stripper. And so, I know. So, I'm sure that the outfits are going to be, so I'm like getting ready for that. And he's like, you know what, let's do something. Let's like take it to, because I've been working out, I work out a lot. I try to stay healthy. And he's like, let's do something to like move the needle a little bit. And he said, you know what would be great? Let's just cut out, because he knows I'm a sugar and carb, like that's most of my diet.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, let's just cut it out. I was like, completely? Like cold turkey? He's like, yes.
For 10 days.
10 days. It was really hard.
Yeah, and you get a headache too. When you stop sugar, it's a really tricky thing.
Not only do you get a headache, but you feel like you're in an alternate reality or universe. Like you don't feel like yourself. You realize that you're addicted to sugar.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm thinking about it all the time. I'm like, when I can have sugar again, I'm gonna have cookies, and then I'm gonna have bread, and then I'm gonna have bread with butter, and then and I'm just like thinking.
But does it get better towards the end? Was it harder in the beginning, or does it get harder at the end?
I'll tell you this, it was really hard in the beginning. And it was like the discipline. I was like, it's only 10 days. Come on, you can do this. And then it gets like a little hard in the middle. And then by the end, you're like, okay. Then when you go back to the sugar, you don't want it as much.
Yeah.
And he said, let's go off for 5 days, and then we'll go back on for 10 more days. And I was like, you know what? I want to do it again.
Wow.
I wanted to do it again. So it's something that you, I guess, get used to a little bit.
But yeah, so yeah, she said that, it was really difficult. But once you do it, it takes down the inflammation.
It really does. Sugar is probably one of the worst things that we can have, which means that's what we want the most. Plus, it's so addictive. Sugar is just one of those things that once you get it, you want more. Mm-hmm. They say that it's harder to kick a sugar addiction than it is a cocaine addiction.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah. But really, I did that. I did the elimination of the sugar, and I reprogrammed my body to not want it anymore. And then all of a sudden it's Thanksgiving. And I'm like, pecan pie?
Right.
Yes. And the more I put myself in a situation of I can't, the more I wanted it. And I really stopped saying, you can't do this. You shouldn't do this. I started talking to my body differently, and I started applauding it for doing its job. I really started just giving it credit. It's so weird. I know it sounds so strange, but it's like I gave it credit for doing what I don't even have to tell it to do. Mm-hmm. And I started like really honestly checking in with myself to see, what are you stressing about? Can you control that? Is that true? What are you stressing? What are you focusing on? What do I want this situation to look like? And so it was more of I was doing all the diet stuff. I was doing all the CrossFit, and I was doing all the clean eating, and I even went vegan. And if you can do it, I did it. Yeah. I did it because I have struggled almost my entire life with fluctuating, and it could be 5 pounds, it could be 10 pounds, and then it became 20 pounds. And I thought that I was strong at that time because I was lifting weights and I was doing all the things, but I wasn't happy.
Yeah.
And so when I decided to make my mission to get happy was when my body started rewarding me for being happy. And it couldn't come from another person. It couldn't come from approval from anybody that I'd been looking for approval from. It came from approving me, and then really being grateful that I can get up in the mornings and I have a choice of how my day is going to go. And so it was so weird that it naturally just started falling off. And I think that that's more of the crisis in this country than people realize, is that it is a mental health crisis. It is us being in such stressful situations all the time. So I think if we learn to love ourselves a lot more, I think if we learn to check in with ourselves a lot more, then and love ourselves and tell ourselves how much we love ourselves and appreciate it, then the body rewards us for that.
The world's just waiting for you to shine. Release the strength you hold inside. Every scar tells a story of strength. Every stumble brings you closer to length. The road may twist, but you're on your way. Feel the fire that lights your day. Be the best.